Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial. Today's tutorial I'm going to talk about the JUnit testing. So the JUnit testing is part of the unit testing and which we need to figure out that whether our expected output is actually equals to the actual output. And for that purpose we have to create the mock testing for each of the methods that we write. That means any kind of validation method we write or any kind of data access to the database method we write, we have to make sure that those methods are doing what it is intended to do. So let's take an example. In the user DAO IMPL, I have this method is valid user. Okay, so is valid user is taking a user model or user object, and then I'm trying to find it out from the database that whether the user exists or not. If this works, then we'll have to move on to the next method. Now, how to create the unit testing? The first thing that we need to do, we have to go to the pom.xml and we have to get the dependency for it. And you can see the dependency over here is the JUnit and the version is 4.12. So now when the dependency is done, that means the jar file is in the class path. Now it's time to create the test case. So now I have already created this test case and you can see that within the test folder, I have this package and I have one class. Now remember that I have created only one method representing one class, but in actual case, we'll have to test all the methods. That is the ideal approach. And the class that I'm going to test is, I have written it like this, that user DO IMPL test. So this is the kind of like norm that you put test at the end of the actual class name, user DO IMPL test. And then I'm going to test this method. Okay. And you can see that is valid user is the method that I'm going to test. So is valid user. Okay. Now, this is also a norm that we put test in front of the method and then perform whatever it is. Now, I have created a mock user with username A and the password A, and then I'm going to create this, that user DAO, new user DAO IMPL, and I'm going to test this method in isolation. So if I'm going to click over here, is valid user, and you can see that this is the interface, but actually this is the method that I'm going to test. Okay, so we are calling that the test in isolation. That means we are not moving from controller to service to DO layer. Rather, we are testing this method in isolation, just invoking that method. And you can see that there is a keyword here, asset true. So this is trying to make or find out that if this is returning true. Okay, so if this is returning true, that is what we are going to check. If it is returning to true, then it will be green, or if it is not returning true, that means returning false, it will be red. So now I'm going to write like this, right click and then run as JUnit test, and it will be running like this, and you can see that this is turning as green. That means the test case is working okay and runs 1 of 1, no errors, no failures, and this. Now if I'm going to change over here the password, let's say I'm going to make the password as 1, let's save it, and if I'm going to run it again, run as JUnit test, and you can see that immediately it will be turning to red. Okay, and this is what the test case is. Again, I'm telling that the best practice is to have all the methods running and testing, and that should be running as a test suite. That means whenever you're running, within one click, it should be running all the test cases. And whenever we're going to create a new build, we have to run these things to make sure that whether our test cases are working as expected or not. Okay, so that's all for today's tutorial. Thank you.